Deadpool Negative here again with a review of Spider-Man. Spider-Man, the surprisingly competent Spider-Man. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, I keep rolling with the Zeb Wells run again because I'm stupid. I kind of broke off, as I said last time, I broke off with 28, picked up a couple other issues recently, and decided to roll with it for another couple more issues. I mean, it's not good, but it's not boring. And I'm sure the arms folded Tom Brevoort in all our heads is saying, "Well, it's selling." Yeah. What else is selling? Anyway, um, so this is actually one of the best issues of Zeb Wells' run I've read. I can tell you the number one reason: no Norman Osborn, not even mentioned, not part of the story. I've gone over four of my issues with Norman Osborn as a good guy is. Once again, I think it's conceptually sound. It's just completely implausible with where the character's been taken. I don't care if Siege was 10 years ago. They at least need to draw a line in the sand explaining how he's allowed to walk around how he's allowed to walk free. Other than he's nice now. But again, that's neither here nor there because this is not about Norman Osborn. It's about a couple things. It's about the return of Chasm on Hallows Eve, and I mentioned this, and I actually going to talk about something I said today on the comment section of a YouTube video. Like, Chasm is a decent design, but he's got the same problem Venom did. I mean, I liked Venom when he first debuted. I think he was a good Spider-Man villain. The reason that he became one of the reasons I think he became an anti-hero, aside of his popularity, was the fact that all he had was killing Spider-Man. I mean, most of the Spider-Man villains have other things like, money, power. Even Norman Osborn wanted a lot, but he didn't start out like wanting to kill Peter Parker. All Chasm wants to do is the same thing all Venom wants to do is to destroy Peter Parker. Once he does that, he doesn't have a motive. You know, and Ben, depending on your point of view, Ben has a reason to be angry at Peter. And Hallows Eve is like, they've kind of retconned Janine to being a petty criminal. And Hallows Eve, has gotten more. Hallows Eve is probably one of the few new characters Marvel has introduced that actually worked for me. I thought Erica Schultz isn't a great writer, but she's a solid writer. So, and then I guess, of course, her own motivation is wanting to be with Chasm. Again, like it's kind of like, but anyway, they're back, but they're back, in partially the story. But I want to talk about first one of the other reason this is one of the best. This is one of the most beautiful looking Todd Nauck comics I have ever read. I'm not a huge fan of Todd Nauck, just because the design isn't me. It's very much 90s, very much, I mean, I remember I thought he just he's not. I remember loving the script for Young Justice, but they never looked like teenagers to me. They looked like, but in the past nearly 30 years, he's just become such a I don't love his design, but he's a solid storyteller. Look, this is just a conversation, yet he's able to make it not boring. And also, I don't know if I think this is the first time he's ever collaborated with Sonia Oback as a colorist, but I loved, especially how Marco Menez's colors in the regular colors sometimes is a little overdone. I like how it was all muted. It suited the darker tone of the story. I mean, it just looked really nice, and I hope they collaborate again because I really enjoyed it. I really thought the more cartoony style kind of offset the muted tones, offset the more cartoony style, and it just made it a more pleasurable reading experience. Anyway, again, they create yet another short brunette for Peter to date. That Michelle lawyer, I really don't understand that. Like, why create another lawyer named Michelle who's a jerk, who's a bipolar jerk, and not make her Michelle Gonzalez. But why not make her Catherine McDuffie? Because I think that's what Michelle Jones was supposed to be. But let's talk about that. Anyway, basically, Anna from the previous issues, she's getting out of Ravencroft, but she actually asks Peter to help her out, help Shay, her nurse, out with talking about getting her released. And it turns out it's just a scam to get them all on a date. And it's a nice little conversation piece. Like I said, this is not boring. It's Peter finds something to relate to Shay because she deals with supervillains all day, and there's comedy to it, and it's a nice natural sequence. And of course, it gets ruined by Betty because she's looking for any way to get Ned Leeds out of jail. And he just like, my friend's in trouble, blah blah blah, runs away. And I'd forgotten that Ned Leeds wound up in jail. I guess like that's one aspect of the Spencer run that I don't like. I didn't see the point of resurrecting Ned Leeds. I'm not even really sure he was meant to, like, I've always wondered if it was part to be some sort of clone or something. And no, it's real. He's the, like, because like it just doesn't make any sense. Like, why would that character have it just say he's a clone and then be done with it. But anyway, like basically Peter, Spider-Man, and Betty find Ned and find the Winkler device that will prove that Ned has been brainwashed. Although I think Wells is going to plan a twist on that. Brainwashed by Kingsley. But then Chasm and Hallows' Eve shows up. And yeah, that's bad. That's really bad. It's just a solid. And then something else happened, which I thought also didn't make a whole lot of sense with a dead character that I thought was very dead. And but I was also thinking, of course, Zeb Wells is going to pick up the Ned Leeds thread because Zeb Wells' head has never left 1987. It will never ever leave 1987. It will always be in 1987. Like that's one of the ironies. Like of Dark Web felt like a fanfic I came up with when I was 8. Like about the Goblin Queen coming back, and I mean obviously I've met Zeb Wells once. I never knew him as a kid, but I think he and I had similar interests when it came to Spider-Man and X-Men comics in the 1980s. Leave it at that. But again, like it's just a solid story. Like I wish Kingsley was actually a part of this story. He's paying guys to go after Betty, but he's just a much more interesting villain than, in my opinion, than they say the Kingpin or these days, than say the Kingpin or Norman Osborn. I mean, I don't want Kingsley to be a Trump analog, but but I think it would be interesting if he just came back and became a guy that Peter just couldn't touch, which was the original plan with Norman post Clone Saga. Not have him not be, I like the DeMatteis run, which I thought was actually the DeMatteis Luke Ross run, which I thought was actually really good. But again, I want to compliment the artwork here. Like, I love how it just looks like just really terrific. And again, I wish not I wish Nauck was the regular artist because it's that good. And I really hope he collaborates with Sonia Oback again. I really think Hallows' Eve, I don't know how far they're going to take Chasm because I don't think Chasm has much past his costume design. But Hallows' Eve is fun. Like the Erica Schultz stuff has been entertaining, if not great. But I hope someone takes her somewhere interesting. And I always want to compliment Marvel on something. You didn't have to do this. Like Paul Neary got a nice memorial piece. Like I wasn't you just fan of Paul Neary's pencil work, but I read a lot of Paul Neary comics where he inked Alan Davis, and he did fantastic work as editor of Marvel UK, and in Liam Sharp's own words, he owes his entire career to him. So, yeah. Anyway, this is pretty good. When I was looking for it, I found myself enjoying it more than I thought I would. But again, is it enough? Probably not. I mean, Spider-Man run has been a mess, but it sells. It sells, doesn't it? Anyway, hit the bell, like and subscribe for notifications, and I will talk to you later.